Sex-linked genes, the X's and Y's of genetics. There are 23 pairs of chromosomes, and one of those pairs are the sex chromosomes. There are either X chromosomes or Y chromosomes. Okay, you'll notice these two are the same size. It's an X and an X. And these two are different sizes. It's an X and a Y. It's important to know that a male is XY and a female is XX. These chromosomes not only carry the genes that determine male and female traits, but also those for some of the other characteristics as well. Genes that are carried by either sex chromosome, okay, which is X or Y, are said to be sex-linked. Men normally have an X and a Y, combination of sex chromosomes. Since only men inherit the Y chromosome, they are the only ones that inherit Y-linked chromosome traits, or Y-linked traits. So you can see here a set of chromosomes. Okay, just gonna check with you. Is this a male or a female here? Okay, this is a male, XY, you can see down there at the bottom. Women have 2 X chromosomes. Okay, this is a female, you can see down there on the right, an X and an X. So X-linked traits, both men and women can get the X-linked traits since both inherit the X chromosome. Sex inheritance patterns for males and females. Okay, you'll notice something here. Okay, mother gives 1X to a daughter, okay, and 1X to a son. Father gives 1X to a female child, okay, but can only give a Y to a male child, okay, does not give it to a female child. Therefore, again, male children are the only ones that can get Y-linked traits, okay, whereas male and female children can get X-linked traits. Men only have 1 X chromosome, therefore traits on the chromosome are always expressed in a male phenotype, even if the gene is recessive. Okay, so that's something important, especially for these sex-linked chromosomes and the sex-linked stuff, in understanding that when a male gets, even if it's recessive, okay, and of course he'll get that from his mother because he only gets his Y from his father. Okay, so the male, so the father actually determines the father's genes determine whether the child is male or female. Okay, um, therefore traits, okay, on that chromosome are always expressed in the male. So I just want you to remember that. Okay, in women, a recessive allele on 1X chromosome is often masked by their phenotype. Okay, so they may have a dominant normal allele uh, on the other carrier of the X-linked trait, but more rarely they have them expressed in their own phenotypes. And you'll see that as we go through the notes here. Okay. In humans, at least 120 genes are known to be X-linked. Genes for hemophilia, okay, which is a blood condition, red-green color blindness, congenital night blindness, and Duchenne's muscular dystrophy are some examples. Hemophilia, okay, an X-linked genetically inherited recessive disease, cannot clot. This is when people cannot clot their blood. Okay, They may have severe bleeding from minor cuts. And this is mostly in males. Why? Right? Because males only get the X from mom. Okay, they don't get the X from dad, and it is an X-linked genetic disorder. And if they get that one gene from mom, okay, if mom is a carrier or mom is a hemophiliac, then they will get it. Okay, and so here's an example. Mom is a carrier. Okay, if she married a man with hemophilia, that means that um, these are the chances that her child would get hemophilia, right? And that's because, and you can see here that one of the boys has it and one of the other boys doesn't. That's because she's a carrier, okay? So that means that she could pass on this X or she could pass on this X, okay? Um, if she has children with a man without hemophilia, okay, you'll notice that um, the one son again, could be a hemophiliac, and the other one possibly not. So this is a 50-50 chance for the boys. And one girl could be a carrier. Okay, remember again, that's what the half means. Now up here, I just wanted to bring attention to this. You'll notice that the one female um, will get an X from dad, right? And an X from mom that both have hemophilia, which means that one of their daughters could have hemophilia, which is very rare for a female, but it can happen. Okay. Um, and then this other daughter here, okay, again, could be like mom because she could get the X that does not have hemophilia, but she will get the X from dad that does. Okay. Then out here, okay, where we have a mother that's not a carrier, she can only produce daughters that are carriers with a man with hemophilia. And you'll notice both of his sons do not have hemophilia, okay, because again, they only get the Y from their dad. And then, of course, down here, a mother, which is a non-carrier, with a father who doesn't have hemophilia, will not produce children with hemophilia. Now, I should say, sometimes this arises for no genetic purpose or for no apparent reason, with no genes in the family. But generally speaking, it's when there are hemophiliac genes in the family. Red-green color blindness is another X-linked trait, and this is when a person cannot perceive red and green in the same. Okay, most often afflicts males again because it's passed on from the mother. Okay, so if you take a look at the top left, I'm not a doctor or a practitioner. This is just for demonstration purposes. But at the top left, that a person with red-green color blindness would not be able to tell the difference between these pictures from all the dots. So the top one is 74. The top right is 68. The bottom middle one is 57. Muscular dystrophy, okay, or Duchenne muscular dystrophy, is characterized by a gradual irreversible wasting away of skeletal muscle. Okay, skeletal muscle is the muscle that allows us to move. An X chromosome trait, most often passed on to sons from mothers, again, right, begins to weaken the legs of boys by age 3 and gets worse every year. No cure is known, and an afflicted, those that have it usually, unfortunately, die by age 30. Okay. So this is a child. These are children of similar or same age, normal healthy musculature, and with muscular dystrophy. Okay, onto Y-linked traits. The Y chromosome is small and therefore does not contain many genes. Y-linked diseases are very rare, only passed from father to son. Okay, hypertrichosis, pin A, is where you have hair that grows out of your ears. This can happen later in life, okay, and is linked to the Y chromosome. Hypertrichosis is what this young man has down here, but he has it on his entire face. Okay, X-linked Punnett squares or sex-linked Punnett squares follow similar steps to those in regular Punnett squares, but there's a few differences. Okay, let's pretend that a man without hemophilia and a woman who carries hemophilia but does not have it herself have children. What would the children's chance be of getting hemophilia? So we're going to start by drawing the Punnett square. Okay, so take out a piece of paper and draw along with me so you understand how to do it. Because like I said, this is a little bit different from other Punnett squares. So the first thing that we're going to do, or the second thing we're going to do, is identify and add in the parents and their genotypes. So remember that a male has an XY. Okay, this male was a male without hemophilia, which means that he will, on the X chromosome, because hemophilia is an X-linked trait, which means it's attached to the X chromosome, that he does not have hemophilia. We have a dominant big H here, okay, because hemophilia is a recessive trait. Then for the mother, we have an X and an X, okay, and she's a carrier, which means that she has a dominant trait and she has a recessive trait. Now we're going to start to cross the sex chromosomes and add their associated links. So the difference here, we're going to put the X and the X from the father here, and we're going to add his H, his big H, and his big H there. Okay. Remember, the father only passes on a Y on this side. Okay. So we have one Y, two Ys. Okay. Now the mother, she passes on a big H on this side. Okay. And big H on this side. Down here, she'll pass along her little h to this daughter, and this little h to this, or so this little h to this daughter, and this little h to this son. Okay, this is now a complete sex-linked Punnett square. So again, each one of these, if I asked you about all the children, then the Punnett square says the same as our regular traits. Okay, so then there'd be one out of, or however many out of 25, or one out of 4, which is 25%. Okay, if that was talking about all of the offspring. So that's important to notice when I'm asking you a question. Am I asking about all the offspring? Okay. Or, okay, however, I might ask just about the boys. Okay. Now each square is worth, if we're only talking about the boys, it's only worth 50% each. Okay. Because there's only 2 males present. Okay. If I ask just about the girls, okay, then it's only 50% for each box. Okay. So what are the possible genotypes for the offspring of those parents? Okay, well, they're these, okay? I've circled them and put them over here. So this one right here is a female, right, XX, who doesn't carry hemophilia at all, right? Then we have a female that is a carrier, right, has a dominant trait. So she doesn't have hemophilia herself, but she will carry it, and she could pass along to one of her children. Next, we have a male, okay, XY, who doesn't have hemophilia. Okay, because remember, his mother was a carrier and didn't have hemophilia herself. And then we have another male which is X little h, which means that he would have hemophilia. So what are the possible phenotypes for the parents? Okay, here's more of an explanation. Female who doesn't have hemophilia and doesn't carry it, over here on the left at the top. Down here at the bottom, okay, that's XX, big H, little h. A female who does not have hemophilia but carries it for the gene. At the top, a male who doesn't have hemophilia, and at the bottom, a male who does have hemophilia.